Good morning, everyone. Killer Bee Nation. Yes, we're having a Thursday morning fireside chat. Yes, I know you think we're in the desert southwest. It would be 110 degrees outside. It's not. It's supposed to freeze again tonight. It's in the high 40s right now. So before we get busy here at the ranch, Hosh and I are going to be working around doing all sorts of shit on the ranch today. But we got to talking this morning about, of course, Africanized bees, and we've been getting a lot of questions from people commenting and whatnot about, well, if Africanized bees are in all of the lower 48 states, what's going to happen? What is the future of small time beekeeping? What's the future of big time beekeeping? What's the future of honey production? And also food production. And so this is all interesting stuff that kind of came to mind. And so Hosh looked at me and said, this is a really good discussion. Let's bring everyone in on this. Let's bring everyone that listens to us, watches our removals, our killer beehive removals, and let's have a little discussion about that this morning. And I was like, you know what? It's fucking cold out anyway. Let's light the fire and do that. So I'm Reed Booth. I'm a killer bee guy. Hosh does the removals with me. He's on the camera. Say hi, Hosh. There's Hosh. Everybody knows Hosh. And so we're going to have a little discussion this morning, and we'd really like you guys to comment. And we want to clarify a bunch of shit because there's so much misinformation, of course, in the world and everything, but especially about honeybees. And it's pertinent because everybody thinks that it has to do with our lives. You guys heard the memes and whatnot. We're going to die without honeybees? Well, that's bullshit. Okay, I want to give a little bit of history here first of all on this because honeybees. Let's say the name of the nice honeybees, European honeybees, right? European honeybees. Let's say it one more time. It just rolls off the tongue. We've been saying it since we were kids. European honeybees. Wait a minute. We're saying European. We're not saying Midwestern or Alabama or Deep South or any other kind. We're saying European. That's right. Honeybees are invasive to the Western Hemisphere. All this bullshit about that we're going to die without honeybees is just that. It's a lie or misinformation or denial. It's not true. People lived in the Western Hemisphere for eons without honeybees. Without honeybees. Now, honeybees are endemic to Europe, Africa, Asia, not the Western Hemisphere. They don't belong here. In fact, when the European honeybees, right, when they first brought them on the ships, the earliest recorded is about 1652, something like that. But get this, guys, there were no known honeybees, European honeybees, in Arizona or California or the West before the mid 1800s. Yeah, mid 1800s. Not like, the year 1100 or 1200. No, 150 years ago. They weren't here. They were brought over. They brought them on their wagons. My God, right? And of course, they quickly took over in wild areas. They swarmed. They became feral. And so honeybees are invasive to the Western Hemisphere. Let's get that right off the bat. Right, and please comment, ask questions. Hosh is going to be moderating and relaying questions to me. We must have some already.
I do actually. Itty bitty young. My daughter was just asking about if we should keep our pollinator garden here in Oregon.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, indeed. When we say pollinators, okay, there are two types of pollinators that we have in the Western Hemisphere now. We have the honeybees, which of course we're all used to that. European honeybees are now Africanized. Okay, we're going to be talking about that in a little while. European honeybees are pollinators, absolutely. They're invasive. Yeah, so we have two types of pollinators, invasive and native. Native pollinators that belong here in the Western Hemisphere. And invasive. Yes. So definitely plant your garden. Absolutely. Of course, we're not going to get rid of honeybees. We're not going to get rid of Africanized bees, especially not get rid of Africanized bees. They're so much better at what they do. They were bred to be a super bee, and they are. And so, You plant your garden, oh, absolutely, because we want to support our native pollinators, and it's fun. It's funner than hell. See the bumblebees and the wasps and the little tiny bees. You have no idea they're even bees on flowers, and they're still covered with pollen. So our native pollinators we do need. Now, native pollinators as are 20 to 30% better at pollinating our native plants than honeybees. Go figure. Now, honeybees are, of course, they live in a group, as everyone knows, the Borg, right? And a normal hive will have 50,000 bees in it. Most of our native pollinators are solitary bees or small group bees. Solitary bees, they live alone, most of them. But they are 20 to 30 times better at pollinating than per bee than honeybees. Now, Africanized bees are even better at pollinating than European bees because that was what they were bred to do. They were bred to make twice as much honey. Well, the African bee, which was already known to make up to twice as much honey, African, European, Africanized. The African bee was known to make up to twice as much honey and be tough as nails, disease resistant. Nothing bothers them. Varroa mites, tracheal mites, the colony collapse, none. Fuck, nuclear war. Nothing bothers these little bastards. So, um, the native pollinators are much better individually, but they don't stand a chance when you have 100,000 honeybees competing from one hive. So honeybees are really bad for our environment in the Western Hemisphere. I know people are rolling over in their graves if they're already dead, and if they aren't dead yet, they wish they were. They wish I was anyway, because yes, honeybees are not good for our environment in the Western Hemisphere. Okay, the analogies that I can give everyone is buffalo grass. Now, buffalo grass is an invasive grass species that exists here in the Southwest. I don't know if it exists in the rest of the country, but it is evil here. It crowds out native plants, and it burns like gas. It's horrible here in the desert. It's invasive species, and I've been saying for years that honeybees are like the buffalo grass of the insect world. I've expanded that to something that everybody's heard of: Asian carp. Yeah, you know those little fuckers that jump out of the Mississippi River and whack you in the head and jump into your boat? Uh huh. Invasive as hell, wiping out native species of fish. That's what honeybees are. Oh, I'm so sorry to say it. It's just the truth, you know. Honeybees, now European bees, are not nearly as competitive for food source and housing as Africanized. Africanized bees are just absolutely evil. They are driving to or near extinction a lot of our native pollinators. Now, that's the information that I know for sure is in the desert Southwest. People have been asking for a long time now what's going to happen in the rest of the country, all right, as far as Africanization goes. It's a great question because we should use the desert Southwest as an example of that because these guys are invasive insects. They don't care if it's the Southwest or the Midwest. They don't give a shit. The Africanized bee lives actually better where it's cold and harsher conditions. That's what they were bred for. They're bred to be tougher than European bees. People have said for years they can't live where it's cold. Bullshit. They were bred to do every job that a European bee does, but better, times 10. So wherever European bees can live, survive, these guys do better. They thrive. They do better in every environment. And the problem with it is that they compete with our native pollinators all over the Western Hemisphere. The Africanized bee is driving our native pollinators out for competition for food source and living quarters. They're absolutely horrible. So, of course, make your pollinating garden. Also, when we make our pollinating gardens, we have to realize we're being adorable, like humans are, because we have our little front yard, and it sure does save a lot of mowing. You know, lawns are the stupidest thing to ever be invented by man. Just a green lawn, it's not even good on golf courses, you know. And go native, absolutely. But it's adorable because we have a postage stamp of our yard, and you go out in the woods and there's like 10,000 acres of natural. So it's adorable, and it makes us feel better. That's all there is in life, apparently. And so it's
I
just,
know somebody just commented, but I like honey.
oh, we're not getting rid of them. Oh, absolutely not. We're not getting rid of them. Who doesn't like honey? I guess there's a few of them out there, but I don't know who they are. So we're not getting rid of honeybees. I just want everyone to be aware of the situation and just dissuade the bullshit, the lies, because we don't need honeybees to live. Interesting little fact. Okay. Out of one corner of the mouth of people, you heard, we'll die without honeybees. Okay? We'll die without them. Then out of the other corner, you hear a third of our food comes from honeybees, pollination. Wow, that's amazing. Wait a minute. You just said we'd die without them, but we'd still have 2/3 of our food. Well, that's bullshit right there. And it's also bullshit that a third of our food that we eat comes from pollination. No, it doesn't. All of our grains, all of the wheat, all of the grains are not pollinated by honeybees. All right, all of them. Very few fruits and vegetables are pollinated by honeybees. Almonds definitely are. Blueberries can be. It's not necessary because blueberries are native to the Western Hemisphere. I grew up in Wisconsin with wild blueberries. Okay, where man will take modified plants, which almost all plants are. Did you know that Brussels sprouts and come from the mustard family, a wild mustard? That's where Brussels sprouts are, and kale. They're not native. They're not a natural plant. They were bred by man, just like horses and dogs and cats and cows and everything else that we do. Okay? Yeah, we have a good comment here.
Well, fruit. Somebody commented that fruit trees are pollinated by bumblebees, but the question would be, well, which?
Bumblebees?
No, I mean honeybees.
Honeybees. Oh,
But
honeybees.
the question would be which?
Which
fruit
ones?
tree?
Yes.
Yeah, which ones
Like,
exactly?
for instance, almonds are pollinated by honeybees. Pecans are not. Pistachios are not. Okay, and so you can find out which. It would be an interesting study actually to find out which fruit trees not only need to be pollinated by honeybees for production, but which ones are invasive, right, to the Western Hemisphere. Which fruit trees are invasive? Now, of course, in Europe and Africa and whatnot, there are definitely plants that need to be pollinated by honeybees. They're endemic there. Everything is endemic there. We're talking about the Western Hemisphere here. So that would be a very interesting study. Okay, if we didn't have any honeybees, okay, we wouldn't have any honey, and I would cry. I love honey. I eat it every single day. I eat up to a half a cup. I mean, I eat honey and pollen. I mean, I know I look like I'm in my early 60s. I'm actually 126 years old. And that's how good honey and pollen are, anyway. Okay. I'm not 126. I just feel that way after a bad bee removal sometimes. Okay, you guys have seen it. Um, at our grocery shelves, we probably wouldn't have quite the variety that we have now with if we didn't have honeybees. We're not getting rid of them. That's not the point at all. We are explaining to everyone the truth about what's going on. We're not getting rid of them. If you want to keep honeybees, keep honeybees. If you insist upon it, do your research though, because it's really getting hard for small beekeepers all over the country. It's not just the Southwest now. It's been deadly for Southwestern beekeepers for many years to keep honeybees because they will become Africanized. And this is happening in the rest of the country now. This is why it's pertinent to all of you people out there, everybody out there that are watching us right now. It is pertinent because if you want to keep bees, you got to find out if they're. Talk to your local beekeeper associations. Talk to your local beekeepers. You're going to find a lot of people in denial that they can't live here. The Africanized can't live in Wisconsin. Yes, they can. We had a live stream a few days ago, a Q&A like this. A guy from Billings, Montana came on and said, yep, we got them in Billings. They're wreaking havoc in Illinois with small beekeepers. They're wreaking havoc everywhere with small beekeepers. They killed a beekeeper in Connecticut, for God's sake, everybody. So we're not going to get rid of them. We're not. We're just trying to explain to everybody and open the conversation up because people, especially beekeepers, I was one. I was guilty as anything until I saw the light. Right? Have their blinders on. And boy, does every beekeeper know everything about bees or not. You know damn well they do. They think they do. Okay? And it's all wonderful and all romantic and all that shit. But the truth is that Africanized bees are going north. They are north already. They're in all the lower 48 states. We had a guy on, was it yesterday in Tombstone, Hosh, when we were doing the Tombstone jump from Alberta?
I think so. Yes,
Yeah, it was
or the other day before that.
the other day.
Let me
Yeah,
just make an
yeah,
adjustment
we
here.
have a technical problem, not a
Thanks.
wardrobe one. I think everything's in place here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was the day before yesterday when we were doing the water box there.
Yeah, be patient with us, guys. We're doing a little
Yeah.
camera work here.
Yeah.
Cameraman just stumbled in. Slept in the truck last night.
Well, let's do a live stream, Reed. Yeah, it was the water box one. Thanks, Tom. Yep. Yeah, it was. We got one of our people in here.
All right, on. Hey,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you so much for joining
In
us.
Alberta,
guys.
yeah.
Oh, right on. Yeah, Alberta. Wow. You know, I'm so glad to hear from beekeepers. Isn't that a great little name that we have for each other? Beaks. Oh, it sounds adorable. Anyway, but most beekeepers, honestly, Hosh and I are absolutely hated in the industry, in the small beekeeper industry. The big boys, they don't give a shit. They already know about all this stuff. They got 10,000 hives. Everything's in-house. It's business. It's the way it is. You know? Yeah, we got a good question here.
Well, a lot of questions. So we've got some of our newer followers.
Welcome, you guys.
Yeah.
Ask away. Hosh is going to throw them at me here. So what do you got?
Well, basically, what is Africanization and how does it happen?
Oh,
How
excellent.
how do European bees become
A
Africanized?
good
etc.?
and a little groundwork on this, a little history of it. The Africanized bee, okay, it's a crossbreed. It's not. It's man-made. Okay, it's like a damn chihuahua or something. Okay, or,
Kind of more like a pit bull,
or
right?
yeah, more like a pit bull from
Yeah.
hell. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was man-made. Now, of course, you'd say, "What the fuck? Why would anybody do that?" Right? Okay, the whole point of it was that Brazil in the 1950s, in the 1950s, was not a great producer of honey because European bees, and this has been a problem for as long as beekeeping has existed with European bees anyway, they are sickly. They're like babysitting. You have to feed them. You literally have to feed them. You have to put out sugar water for them. You have to put out pollen patties for them. You have to read them little bedtime stories. They're adorable. They're bougie, bougie, bougie. And of course, this is where who's daddy's little bee? Who's dead? Anyway, I get goofier. You guys see us after bee removals, right? So no, they are, and this is where all the romance around honeybees comes from because they are the most adorable little budgie budgies, and they're cute, and they don't try to sting us, and they crawl on us, and they don't try to hurt us, and they give us honey. What a romance made in heaven, right? And then Africanization comes in and blows the lid off of everything. So what they did in Brazil was they actually went over to South Africa and brought back pure African queen bees because the African, okay, European, African, Africanized. The African bee was known to be an excellent producer of honey, up to twice as much, really, and disease resistant, tough as nails. So Brazil wanted, it was all money, it was all finances, all production, that's all it came down to, man's greed, okay? So they went and brought back this Dr. Warwick Kerr in 1957, and he brought back pure African queen bees for experiments in crossbreeding. And, well, they did. They crossbred them with European bees. Now, European bees are mutts. The African is a pretty much a pure strain of honeybee. There are tons of different types of European bees. There's Italians, Carnolians, Russians, Germans, all sorts of shit, okay? And so they're a mutt because all of our feral unmanaged hives in the Western Hemisphere are mutts because you can't control who the hell they're breeding with. It's kind of like the local bar. Anyway, so the Africanized, so the Africanized, all right. Well, it achieved all their goals. Tough as nails. I mean, disease resistant. No problem at all. Nothing affects them, and make twice as much honey. Of course, what they didn't know when they crossbred the little bastards was they were going to be so mean. So they got out. Actually, what happened was a guy, negligence, a worker at the lab. The good Dr. Warwick Kerr is a very responsible scientist. He went to a conference in São Paulo in the 50s, late 50s, and one of the guys, we put screens at the entrance to the hive to restrict so they can't swarm, so they can't escape. And the guy saw them wriggling through it, and I'll go into all that shit later. But he took the screens off, and they got out, and they spread out in every direction. See, now these Africanized hives will swarm 30 times a year. Divide and conquer. You've got your hive. It'll send off new hives 30 times a year. European bees 5 or 6 times, left to their own devices. And so they spread out in every direction at about 300 miles a year. Well, of course, west and south, Brazil, it's not quite a long ways to go, but north, holy shit, all the way. So they came into Texas in 91, Arizona in 93. I was here. I was keeping bees down here at the tunnel in Bisbee. And all of a sudden watched everybody that I knew, because everybody had a couple of hives, or a few hives. I had 20 at one time or something, maybe. I don't know. It was too much. It was a lot of work for me, I'll tell you. It's a lot of work, beekeeping, and it's expensive. So they started getting so damn mean. Oh my God, and I mean mean. So what we used to do, we used to send at the request of Arizona here. The government wanted to see, the Department of Agriculture wanted to see what the hell's going on here with this. What we knew they were coming. What's going on? What's the percentage? How many of them are? We didn't know what to expect. So that's why I'm saying we should use Arizona and the desert Southwest as an example for the rest of the country. What's happening now and is going to happen. Because even way back then, in the 90s, we would send samples of all of the hives and swarms that we got up to the labs in Tucson for testing a percentage of Africanization. Not just me, anybody who had anything to do with it. All right, in Arizona. In the late 90s, in 1998, now this went on for a few years, 6, 7 years, something like that. In the late 90s, in 1998, they called up everyone and said, don't send it anymore. It's over. 100%. You're going to have to pay now if you want your bees tested. Oh, well, that ain't going to happen. They're mean. I don't give a shit. I don't need them tested, right? So they didn't stop here. Now, all of the maps you're going to see on Google, all of the maps are old. They're 10 to 15 years old. Look at the date on them when they were published. There are no more studies being done that I know of in the United States as far as where these Africanized bees are going. You'll look at that map, and it has a wavy line right down the middle of the damn United States. It's like, they can't go north of here. Oh, fucking bullshit. Okay, yes, they can. They can live where it's cold. They already have. They're in Wisconsin. They killed a beekeeper in Connecticut. There's a big stinging incident in Manchester, New Hampshire, right? So that's a little bit of a history of them, where they came from. Now, as to your other question, how can your bees become Africanized? It is I never get tired of talking about this because it's so damn weird, of course. Everything about these things is weird. So your nice European hive, okay, you've got a nice queen in there. Maybe you purchased a 3-pound swarm or something, and you're keeping bees, and you may have been doing it for 10 years. We had an incident here in Bisbee just this last summer. You can see bees gone bad on our TikTok channel. Bees gone bad. Holy shit. So this is a prime example of how your nice hive can become Africanized. And it doesn't take long. All right, between 2 hours and 3 weeks, and I'll explain. So the main way that they have been populating the areas in the Western Hemisphere is through crossbreeding. Because when a queen goes on her mating flight, you have a virgin queen in a hive, she goes on a mating flight, the Africanized drones or males are much better at catching up with her and mating with her, and then she comes back. Your nice European queen comes back with Africanized sperm and starts laying Africanized eggs. And it takes about around 3 weeks, 21 days for them to start hatching. And all of a sudden, your nice hive is meaner than shit. And you don't know why. You can't tell. You walk up to it, they look the same, exactly the same. You can't tell by looking. All right, and so all of a sudden your nice hive is meaner than shit. So this is what happened here in Bisbee. Was this poor gal had this, and she was 3rd generation beekeeper. Shocked the shit out of her. They sent 2 people to the hospital and stung 13 people. Absolute nightmare. So that's one way that your nice hive can become Africanized. The other way is what I call World War B. Get it? World War B, the letter B. Okay, anyway. So Africanized bees are Vikings. They are marauders. Okay, they pillage and rape. They're horrible. They're absolutely evil. And so you've got a neighboring really strong Africanized hive, because not every Africanized hive is made up like every other just like every Rottweiler is not the same as every other Rottweiler. Every horse is not the same as every horse within the same breed. It's the same damn thing. But the problem with the bees, with these Africanized bees, is you can't trust them. Okay, so we'll get more into that in a little bit here. But you got a neighboring hive, meaner than shit, aggressive, competitive. They are very keen to steal honey from each other. Okay, actually all honeybees are, but man, these Africanized bees are nuts about it. Completely insane. So they will come into every beehive in a 3 mile radius knows about every other beehive. It's like a homeowners association from hell. And that's in case they can steal honey from each other. So they will come into a weaker Africanized hive or a European hive and kill. I mean, literally kill. Every time I start talking about bees, you guys will notice I start itching my nose because I've been stung on the damn end of the nose way too many times. And it drives me nuts, and I get psychosomatic. It's like, I'm going to get stung, I know it. So they will come in and kill all the bees. World War Bee. I've seen it. They will kill all of the nicer bees, sting the pupae to death through the caps on the cells, and either steal all the honey and go home, or move in. Yes, that's right. So in 2 to 3 hours, your nice hive has gone to shit. Your nice hive has become Africanized. And you can't tell by looking. That's how they killed that beekeeper in Connecticut. He went up to his nice, he had 2 hives, went up to his nice hives, had a net on, a t-shirt, no gloves, just like I used to. Popped the top board on one of his hives, didn't make it back to the truck. That's how bad they are. I've seen them come out of a hole like that at 1,000 per second. So we must have some questions out there.
Yeah, how to reverse the situation.
Oh, man, that's really a great question. And brings up some interesting observations because, well, first of all, you can't. I mean, invasive species are a real pain in the ass. Not just Africanized honeybees. Well, and honeybees, right? Of course, for as long as the insects were nice and gave us honey, we really didn't care, did we? Now that they're Africanized and killing us and our animals, oh boy, now we care, like deeply. Unfortunately, there's no way to reverse it. It's just another thing we have to live with. It's a royal pain in the ass is what it is. If you guys want to see, I mean, go to YouTube, please, and see our full-length vids. Now, it's not like a 2-hour show or something. Well, a couple of them are. Anyway, it depends on the job. But, they're usually 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and they're all-encompassing beginning to end on the vids. On TikTok, they're shorts. You have to go through, 15 different episodes. And they're fun as shit too. But so go to our YouTube channel. We have more Q&A stuff there, and the older stuff is on YouTube. Okay, stuff I've been doing for years, literally, is all on YouTube. TikTok, brand new. Been doing it since January. But I'd like to thank everybody out there for following us and getting us up to where we are now. I started posting on January 17th. I remember of this year because it was quite the learning curve for this old cowboy. It's like, what the fuck am I doing here? And I push this button. So anyway, we're at just under 300,000 followers. You have another question?
If robber bees can steal honey from another hive, what keeps remnant bees from joining another hive?
That's a really good question. That is a great question because people all the time people are saying, why all those remnant bees? All right, that's what I've named them. The bees left over from any of the wars that we have. Are they going to go start a new hive on their own, or are they going to join another hive? Really good points on both points. Those are the 2 points that come up a lot. So every beehive is an enemy of every other beehive. That's just the way it is. It's like, the analogy that I use is it's like we see a hive as an organism, much like ourselves, with each bee being a cell and the queen being the heart and the brain. All right. My cells can't go live on you, and your cells can't go live on me. Same thing with a beehive. Now, there are tricks that beekeepers have with European bees to incorporate bees from one hive into another, and it's not instantaneous. Africanized bees, not going to happen. These guys are enemies, total enemies. So every beehive is an enemy of every other beehive. The only reason that the worker bees visit each other is to steal honey. So that actually answers both questions all at once there. The remnant bees, they can't go to another hive. Every hive smells different to every hive, just like humans. The analogies are really too similar. And so they can't go to another hive. They would either be kicked out, it would be assumed that they were there to steal honey, period. So they can't just go in and say, I'm homeless, can I have some honey? No, it ain't going to happen. They smell different. They are the enemy. So remnant bees are like an amputated limb. And you hear me say it. I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll say it some more. You can live without your hand, but your hand can't live without you. Well, on the Addams Family, wasn't that the thing? They called him the thing. That was awesome, wasn't it? Okay, different. The finger can't. You can live without your finger, but your finger can't live without you. So the remnant bees from any job, and oh my God, I get people all the time going, "Whoa, you're just a horrible person. You let all those bees go so they can go build somewhere else." Well, that would be great job security and shit, but that ain't how it works. Okay. In the 30 years I've been doing this, I've never seen one Africanized hive remnant bees go start somewhere else because they can't. And the queen can't go and start something with only 1,000 bees either. She needs a minimum of 5,000 bees to start a new hive. And we're not going to, it's never happened in the 30 years I've been doing this. So the remnant bees, great question. Thank you so much for bringing that to the forefront because people ask all the damn time. So they can't go there, an enemy of every other hive. They can't go start one on their own. They can't join a new hive. It's a done deal. They will, like individual cells, though, of an organism, they will die off over the coming days after we leave. Right? They will ball up near the entrance wherever their old hive was. They're very landmark oriented. They know where their front door is in relation to that tree there or that power line there or any kind of landmarks. And so they will ball up. That's all they know is that area. They will ball up and die off as individual cells over the coming days. So that great question, you guys. We must have some more questions.
Well, just this idea of requeening and
Well, requeening, I
yeah.
would like to address that for a second because I used to, absolutely. A couple of things on that. People that say they're requeening if they're doing live hive removals of Africanized bees, I would actually like to see some documentary work by them, proof of what they're doing, because I honestly don't believe it. Uh, Africanized bees. Are you going to find the queen every time? Now, you've seen our videos and our bee removals. People ask us all the time, did you find the queen? I've got 100,000 of these things out trying to kill me. I'm not going to look for one, right? Now, if you do find the queen and you get her, those bees that are trying to kill you, if you take her, say, 10 yards away and put her into a box, you better have her in a cage because she ain't going to stay there. Africanized bees are notorious for absconding and just being a royal pain in the ass. So after the air is so saturated with attack pheromone, that air has to clear out. They're in war mode. They turn into white blood cells. They leave about 500 to 1,000 worker bees to surround the queen. It's kind of like the presidential motorcade with Africanized bees. If the Secret Service even thinks there's a threat to the president, they'll squirrel him away to another county. Same thing with these bees, Africanized bees. They'll take 500 to 1,000 bees, ball her up, and take her 8 feet away. I've seen it. And so you've got the rest of the bees out trying to kill you. Now, the aggression level has gotten a lot worse in the last 5 years here in Cochise County in southern Arizona. I used to catch a queen, put her into a box, and she would either leave right away. That's why I said the cage thing. But eventually, the bees would go join her because home is where the queen is, not where the hive is. But these people, I would really like to see some documentary work by these people that say that they're requeening all of these Africanized hives. I don't believe it. I really don't. I mean, if you're doing even 3 or 5 removals a day, which without killing them and moving on to mitigate the next threat, I don't know how you could do. I really don't. Because requeening is quite a process. And are you raising your own queens or are you purchasing queens? Do you know queens can be $60 a piece? So who's affording to requeen all of these Africanized hives? And then, where are you putting them? Where are you putting these Africanized hives? Because here in Arizona, you don't put them out on somebody's ranch. You might get shot. All of the ranchers and BLM and Forest Service, state parks, everyone has said, no, you do not release any of these damn bees out here, ever. So, do you have 1,000 acres to put these thousands of hives that you're requeening on? Do you have multiple bee yards? And if so, who's letting you put Africanized? Now, your bees are going to be European after you requeen, correct? Okay, that's awesome. That's really great. I used to. It's a temporary fix. Wherever Africanized bees exist, live, feral, unmanaged hives under your shed, in a bee tree, in a tire out in the desert, those drones are much better at catching up to a queen on her mating flight and mating with her, and then your hives are Africanized again. That's why I keep saying that requeening is a temporary fix here in Arizona. Anyway, you can probably still get away with it in other parts of the country, even though there's Africanized hives there. I don't think the saturation rate is not 100% yet in the feral unmanaged hives. It is here, and so here it's a total temporary fix and a complete waste of time and a huge liability, because in the state of Arizona. And I actually just got a call from a lawyer. I'm an expert witness. Okay, you guys, I teach for the state. I'm not just some amateur doing this shit. I've been doing it for 30 years. Okay, got a call from a lawyer, and they said we have an incident where a person, well, a landscaper, saw a child getting attacked underneath a tree. The tree had a hive in it, and this is here in Arizona. All right, between Tucson and Phoenix somewhere, and it's not long ago either. And so this child was getting attacked, just sitting there playing beneath a tree. And the bees came down and attacked the child. That's another problem with these Africanized bees. They attack unprovoked. We don't know why. To them, it's a threat, a baby, whatever. A little child. So landscaper went over to help this child, got the child into something, into a house maybe or something, and got killed. The landscaper got killed. Now, we have a law in the state of Arizona. It's Arizona Revised Statute 36-601. I helped write it. It states very simply that if you have an unmanaged feral hive on your property, legally you have to have it removed. So every case that I've ever been on, the person that had the bees loses, period. And it's just the way it is. So conferring with this lawyer on this, I made it very clear. I said, I don't take sides on this shit, okay? I don't care who owned the property, and I feel really bad for the people that got killed and their families, but I'm not taking sides on this. Here's what the law states, and here's what it is. And so it happens all the time here. So if you're requeening bees in the desert Southwest, and even Southern California, definitely Texas, I think you're asking for a lawsuit. I really do. Because if in the state of Arizona, if your bees sting anyone walking by, this is why we say now, if you have a ball of bees hanging in a tree, a swarm, right? Oh, we used to say, give it 2 or 3 days, they'll move on. Isn't that adorable? No, not anymore. If a kid throws a rock at that ball, or if they decide to attack for absolutely no reason, and somebody gets stung up, you could lose your house. I have seen it. Okay, so ball of bees in a tree. The second reason, besides the liability issue, is say they do move on. Say they go somewhere. You don't know where the hell they went. They're Africanized. These are not our grandfather's honeybees. And so this is why I always tell everyone, if your neighbor has bees, you have bees. Period. All right? That hive, if that ball of bees, if they move, say, down the block, under somebody's shit. I'm still getting stung on the nose again here, guys. God. Anyway, psychosomatic. If they move under your neighbor's shed, all right, that hive under that shed that you didn't pay to get rid of in your tree is going to put out 30 new hives a year. And they're going to move up into the eaves of your house and your neighbor's house and everything. That's another reason we're not getting rid of honeybees. We're not getting rid of killer bees. We're just explaining to everyone and educating everyone the facts about what the hell is going on so we can dissuade all the bullshit and all the myths about it. So if you have a ball of bees hanging in your tree, you need to get rid of it now. It's a lot cheaper and a lot safer for us to get rid of. If they move into your attic or eaves or soffit or under the shed, then it costs twice as much to have them removed also. So, you can wait, but it's up to you. So another reason is, and this is total anomaly, and beekeepers have never seen this before. A swarm, a ball of bees hanging on a tree, would be in transit, would be apartment hunting, would never ever want to live there. So rarely it was ridiculous. But now, with Africanization, about 50% of the swarms that we're getting off of tree limbs, they're building honeycomb right on the bark, right on the tree limb, for God and everybody. It's horrible. It's just horrific. Why? The rain, the snow, it makes no difference to them. They actually have a higher metabolism. They're slightly warmer than European bees. They can keep a hive. This is a really cool little fact just came into my brain. If it's 10 below outside, 10 below zero outside of a hive, they can ball up in the middle, and by eating honey, which is pure energy, of course, and vibrating and rotating it from the center out, kind of like the penguin thing, they can keep it at in the high 60s, even in the 70s, in there. And that's just within the ball of bees. Of course, that's not the whole hive or anything. That's just the ball of bees. But it's all fascinating shit. There's no doubt about it. So, anyway, have we got a few people with us? How many people we got with us, Hosh?
We do about 230 on TikTok right now.
Right on. And be sure to go to YouTube, you guys, and watch the full length vids. They're edited and stuff by myself or Hosh or I've had other people, of course, work for me and whatnot, but they're really cool as shit for little movies, and so I do that. Also, I want to tell everybody we got a special on the website killerbeeguy.com. If you want to buy some honey, go to killerbeeguy.com, and we have a 20% off special right now. KBG1, that's Killer Bee Guy. Get it, KBG1, and we have 20% off for the holidays. Yeah, so go buy some honey, would you please? So. We must have a couple more questions before we get outside. It's getting warm enough. I think we're going to be able to go to work in a little bit here, huh, Hosh?
Yeah. Does the spray get on the honey?
The spray adhesive. Okay, when we're spraying in the air, it's only viable to around 6 or 8 inches out. Especially here in the desert Southwest, it might be another inch where the humidity's higher, but the aerosol is gone. The particulate's dry and will fall to the to the ground as they're non-toxic. Everything we use with the spray adhesive is non-toxic, so it's only a few inches out from the spray, from the actual release of the nozzle. Then it is moot. It's a moot subject. They're non-toxic particulates that fall. All right. So good question though. Excellent question. So that's why we spray it all over in the air. And of course any comb that gets directly hit, of course we throw it away. Any comb that's contaminated at all, of course it gets thrown away. Of course it gets tossed. I mean, we're safety first. We're very conscious of all this shit. I mean, yeah. So anyway, that's a great question. But with the spray adhesive, it's only a few inches out. That's why we spray it in the air. But you've seen how thick the air gets in the videos. I mean, my God, look at Worst Bees Ever, or Portal to Hell. Oh my God. I don't think anything was going to help with that one. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. The bees that almost killed Hosh. God, I tell you. So anyway, that's what happens with the spray adhesive. Only a few inches out. We spray it in the air. But as you've seen, you can hear it get quieter and quieter as we're knocking down tens of thousands of bees, and they're crawling around on the ground, and then the ants get them. So, good question. Thanks for bringing that up.
Do wintertime removals yield less honey?
Actually, early winter yield more, late winter a lot less. This is a really good question. Thank you for bringing that up. The reason is, where the bees store the honey and pollen is their pantry. They're the ultimate survivalists besides me. All right. That's their pantry. So in the fall, they've been working all summer to gather nectar and pollen and bring it to the hive and get the pantry completely full, right? So at the beginning, like now when we get hives, we're thinking, oh yeah, we're going to get some honey out of this one, right? So all winter long, they eat that. There are no flowers out, even if they're out foraging around, even if they're out farting around, anything above freezing. 32 degrees, they will out forage. They will also forage Africanized bees on a full moon. I know, sci-fi. I've seen it myself. They'll also attack. I've seen it at 25 degrees Fahrenheit. European bees, 45 degrees, 50 degrees, they're in, watching movies. They don't want nothing to do with it. So they store the honey, and then all winter they eat it. So in the spring, when we get removals for established hives at that time, we get hardly any honey unless it's a really old hive, because they make more than they need, and as beekeepers, that's what we take from our hives. We take the excess because we don't want to hurt our nice little European honeybees. So we would hopefully leave enough so they could make it through the winter and do it again, so we could take the excess next fall. So I hope that answered your question on that one.
Yeah. And can you tell the difference by sight between?
Well, a really good question. I mean, that is so pertinent too, since they are going north. I mean, these damn things are in all the lower 48 states and Alberta, and probably other provinces in Canada. So that's a real problem. You can't tell by looking. I mean, what a pain in the ass, huh? As a beekeeper, you've got your bees crawling in and out of your hive, and everything looks honky dory, and you don't know if they're Africanized or not. What a pain in the ass. That's like I said before, what killed that beekeeper in Connecticut. They attack Africanized hives in all the lower 48 states now, are attacking small time beekeepers every single day. And a lot of beekeepers are in denial about this. They will yell at me and call me names and argue with me and tell me they can't live where it's cold and all this other bullshit, stuck in the lie, stuck in their bubble, and it's sad but true. Okay, you can't tell by looking, and you don't know until it's too late. So if you insist on keeping bees in any of the lower 48 states and obviously parts of Canada, I would recommend you keep them away from your house, keep them away from other houses, because the liability is going to be with you, one way or the other. And I mean, there might be some neighbors you wouldn't mind seeing get stung to death, but don't do it. Just don't do it, okay? But no, you don't want to see someone get hurt from your bees. And get a really good bee suit. I mean, zippers, no more drawstrings. Always put on your gloves. Always act as if you're going into the worst Africanized hive ever, because you have to. Unfortunately, they kill beekeepers. Yes, it's sad but true. So you can't tell by looking. Great question.
Now, are the foraging bees aggressive?
Oh my God, this is a nightmare I've had for a long time, everybody. Oh fuck. If Oh my God, I've said this. And the reason that I've had such trepidation about this is we used to say a swarm of bees, ball of bees hanging in a tree. Oh, thank God they're never aggressive. They're so nice. I used to go without a suit on, without a glove, nothing. I'd reach my hand in the middle of the ball, cup where I thought the queen was, and if I had the queen, I'd have a ball of bees on my hand. Awesome shit, right? I mean, it used to be that. Then all of a sudden, the the swarms on YouTube. You can see a vid that I have up. It says abnormally aggressive swarm. Check that one out. They peel off like layers of an onion, and we use that video in teaching actually for the state for licensing, continuing education stuff in the industry. So that they got aggressive. Oh fuck. Okay, this is not good. And then it was a ball of bees like that that killed a good friend of mine, Dan Oldfield, here 2 years ago, here in Bisbee. Killed him. A ball of bees just like this. That size, 7 to 10,000 bees. Oh my God. So, I've been saying for a long time, if foraging bees get aggressive, we're screwed. I mean, what? You can't have flowers? Now, they're aggressive with each other on flowers, absolutely. They will fight each other. They'll chase away native pollinators. There we go back to that again. Aggressive species. Invasive aggressive species. Chasing off native pollinators for food source and housing. They will chase bumblebees out from underground and take over usually they're building rabbit warrens or something like that, a place where maybe some roots go under the, anyway. So, yeah, that's the facts on that. It's fascinating stuff. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Is there any way to stop them from taking over European hives?
There are tricks that beekeepers have used in the past. The problem is you can requeen your hive. Are you going to requeen your hive every month? How much do you want to spend on this habit? Right? Beekeeping is a habit. It's a total habit. It gets in your blood. Holy shit. Once I started doing it, it was it. Yeah, I was hooked for life. Then the Africanized came in, and I had to adapt and change with what was happening in nature. I had to expand my horizons and shed all of my old skin, shed my views. And so, what was the question again?
How do you stop them from? Is there a way to
Oh,
stop
right. Well,
them
with
from taking
beekeepers,
over
there
a
is.
hive?
Of course, that's the problem. You cannot control unmanaged feral hives. You can't control your own hives, actually. It's horrifying because, like I was explaining before, you've got your nice hive, and a neighboring Africanized hive will come in, kill all your bees, either steal all the honey and go home or move in. Then you have an Africanized hive, and you don't know it. You don't know by looking. It takes 3 hours. So it's really difficult. In fact, it's a waste of time as far as I'm concerned. It, it's um, it's a temporary fix. How much you want to spend on queens? You know, are you going to requeen? You're not going to sleep with your hive and see if another hive comes in to kill all your bees and move in. You're not going to be there for it. You're going to be at work or fishing, or you're going to do whatever you're going to do. You're not going to tell if your hive has swarmed and your new queen has to go on a mating flight and comes back with Africanized sperm and starts laying Africanized eggs. You're not going to be there for it. So it's a real problem. And of course, feral hives, who the fuck knows? You know? Really good questions, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So, we got anything else going on, or should we get to work?
Yeah, let's go work.
All right. We love having you guys along so much. Thank you so much. Of course, follow. I mean, please, it really does help. Go to YouTube, watch the vids, watch our pin vids on TikTok. Please do. We've got a map up that we just put up. It shows, this is so damn cool, you guys. It shows on our pin vids, it shows the progression of invasion of European honeybees, not Africanized, from east to west. Yeah, east to west, not south to north. They came in, the Europeans brought them, right, into the East Coast in the 1600s sometimes, and then brought them all the way to the west until the mid-1800s when they came into Arizona. There were no honeybees here before that, or in California. Yeah, no shit. So it's a really cool progression you can see. It's on our pin vids. Plus, there's a great one that this academia put up. Our pin vids are not our vids; they're academia, and really, we're just trying to educate people on this stuff. We're not getting rid of honeybees. We're not getting rid of Africanized bees. We have to live with them. Why not be knowledgeable about it and safe about it? Right, everybody? Thank you so much for coming along. We love you guys. Thank you. We're going to have more bee removals coming up, of course. We don't know about today. Might get a call, you know.
Yeah, we did get a call.
We did get a call.
Well, I mean, there were calls coming in.
So we might have honeybees. So stick around, keep your lines open. We love you guys. Go to killerbeeguy.com and get some honey. And say goodbye, Hosh.
All right.
See you guys. Love you guys. Yay. Talk to you later.